Hello, peoples. How is everyone today? We are all here for the same reason for Delphi. We're here for Abby and Libby. We're all searching for the truth. I myself would like the truth, but you know, it's been kept down for over 9 years. The only thing I really have to offer is just knowledge from the very beginning. I followed since February 13th, 2017, and I took a lot of notes because there's not a lot of the old stuff still out there, still available. It's just not there anymore. Luckily, I wrote stuff down because I just thought that how tight-lipped law enforcement was, that everybody seemed to be talking and telling a story that law enforcement never told. And there are some of the creators out there that have been on the scene since day one as well. And they're still here, they're still around. And, they're pumping the same narrative as they were back in the day. But back in the day, they gave a whole lot more information. A lot of people have died, whatnot, but there are still some news articles out there. Some of them have changed. Some things have been omitted. Um, there's still a little bit out there, but I was in the rabbit hole for a good 7 years. I was obsessed. Didn't do nothing. Eat, sleep, and drink Delphi. That's all I did. So I got out of that rabbit hole almost a couple years ago, and now I can stand back and take more of an objective look at things. I took Ellie out of my investigation. Law enforcement never really gave a whole lot, but everybody else did. I don't believe that law enforcement ever said that the girls even crossed the river. I don't believe law enforcement has ever called the guy on the bridge guy, or BG. I don't think law enforcement ever said those things. Law enforcement never said a lot of things that came from local yokels, you know, and like where I got most of my information, to be frankly honest with you, and it's lined up, it's tracked over the years. Something I just kept in my pocket, didn't know if I would use it or not, but I wrote it down anyways. And take what you need, leave the rest. So, I kept it around for a long time, and I'm starting to put things in a different light. When it comes to Delphi, your mind will change, your person of interest will change, your whole theory will change, everything will change every so often. So, um, but if you get the opportunity to just stand on the outside and look in and just see where it takes you, see where all the information came from. Where did most of my information came from? Some of the creators, a handful of them. Some of my most critical information has come from creators doing interviews, la ti da ti da, and it's the same 3-4 people since 2017. They're still rampant today, still, holding it down, almost like everything was a production. Everybody had a role, everybody had a job, everybody was made to participate, so they're in the clink as well. So you got to do what you got to do, I guess, in that kind of lifestyle. I don't really know. There's just a lot. You got 4,000 Hell's Angels rolling into an itty bitty town. There's not even that many people in that town. And you get that many Hells Angels all in one spot that quickly is amazing. You know, it's just, I don't know. For me, it's Abby and Libby. Nobody should be taking money for these girls. This is like 9, almost 10 years later, you guys. You know, seriously. If you're making a living off Abby and Libby, I don't even know how you can live with yourself. These two girls were brutally tortured. You know, that's some bullshit. And that's all I'm here for. I'm here for the same thing as anybody else. The downright bottom of the truth of it all. You know, and why, you know, why? I mean, because you could still come up with so many solutions or ideas and theories, and still the question is, why would they still do that to 2 little kids? You know what I mean? It's fucked up. But there's a lot of names out there. I got 9.5 years of research into this almost, you know what I mean? I got probably 20 notebooks or more, just filled with all kinds of notes, all kinds of crap from back in the day. I've got like 4 old phones. It's just nothing but full of Delphi. Yeah, maybe 3 of them. But, you know, it's just crazy that they don't talk about anything in the beginning. They don't talk about everything that was scrubbed. They don't talk about anything important. They always talk about the same shit, but just try to put a new spin on it. You know, but you tell me, out of nowhere, out of the blue, I mean, you got Crime Circus come up with the Rod Abrams interview with law enforcement. Now, that came out of left, you know? I mean, nobody's asking about that. How'd he get it? You know what I mean? You've got interviews with Julian Powell. You've got interviews with Patrick Westphal. You've got interviews with Reese Davis. You've got interviews with all these people. And who are these interviews coming from? Is law enforcement saying anything? You know, I mean, we can say that, okay, well, they're just trying to put it together like you are. Well, all right, all right, all right. You know, like I said, take what you need, leave the rest. You know, there's a couple creators, 2, 3, 2, that I have given some of my most important information to, and literally nothing came of it. They never even talked about it, never touched base on it. They just didn't give a shit. Why? Why aren't these creators talking about the low down and dirty? They're always acting like they got something good to talk about, some special, some breaking news bullshit, something that they might have found out. But they've been blowing that same steam for over 9 years, yo. I mean, seriously, I know that they ain't got nothing new out. You know, there ain't been nothing new on Delphi and since they arrested Richard Allen, since the trial. You know, there ain't been shit new. I ain't heard it nothing. And I ain't heard no truth start dropping. Not anything that refreshes my memory. You know, you just coming up with some fucking Reese Davis interviews and fucking Rod Abrams. You just give us enough to fucking be curious, but not enough to fucking chew on, you know what I mean? It's a bunch of bullshit, y'all. You know, it's all hiding in plain sight. All hiding in plain sight. Just do your homework, man. Be careful who you watch. I wouldn't be donating no dollars to nobody. Not in this economy. Shit. You see the price of gases? So, you know, I don't know, I can give you guys little bit by little, you know, of what my research has shown, but I really don't know what y'all want. So, as I'm ending this video, do me a favor and put some questions down that I might have some legitimate answers to. And, you know, if I get enough response, And I'll pull out my notes and I'll take a little time, but most of this stuff I've already put out over the years and nobody's ever really give a shit. And that's okay. I'm here for Abby and Libby, so if you get some questions or some comments, something raises a concern, whatever, I'll do my best to answer it. I'm not a lawyer. I don't live in Indiana. I don't know none of these people. Like I said, I just happen to be fortunate enough to follow this from day one, and I'm seeing a lot. You know what I mean? At this many years later. So, anyways, just leave a question, whatever, what topic you might want to hit on or something, and maybe I'll try to get a little bit more extensive into details because, I'm just talking to a computer at this point. I need some questions. And no, I don't really want to go live. That's all. Just maybe someday I will. But, anyways, y'all, just leave some questions or whatnot. And y'all have a blessed day. Stay safe.